Oh, it sounds risky. Sounds risky, Josie.
Sorry. Well, we added, the planning commission item has been updated now.
Okay.
Yep. As a business item number 2, you can see C and K1 and 2.
Yeah, I'm out of order. I did.
Just wait. It'll come.
All right.
It'll be there. It's just
Nope,
slow.
we don't need a new one.
It's not, it's the app that's the problem, not the iPads.
Maybe I should
Oh, yeah.
re-download the app. Maybe it will fix the problem.
You ready to go? All right, it is 7:02. We'll call this city council meeting to order. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Doing roll call, all voting members are present. Is there any public comment tonight? If there is, you're welcome to come up and just state your name and address for the record. Hearing none, we will close the public comment. Next, we'll move on to adopting the agenda. Are there any changes tonight? Ms. Wood?
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. We do have a late addition, and that is for business item K2, resolution to approve site plan review for gas station car wash at 501 Heritage Boulevard Northeast.
Sounds good. Any objections to that? Otherwise,
Motion to adopt with change.
Second.
motion by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Peterson to adopt the agenda with the changes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Tonight, we do have one proclamation for Employer Celebration Day, which is July 23rd, 2025. Whereas employers and employees are a dynamic part of the city of Isante's and Minnesota's economy, and whereas the promotion of our employers and their talented staff showcase the strength and success which is an integral part of the city of Isante's economic development strategy, and whereas all Isante employers located within the city of Isante provide jobs which significantly contribute to the city of Isante's standard of living and economic vitality, and whereas the city of Isante has approximately 2,143 people that are employed within its corporate limits, and whereas employees contribute to the economic success of Isante businesses by buying local and supporting other Isante businesses, and whereas the city EDA is sponsoring an appreciation luncheon to the employers and their employees on July 23rd, 2025, highlighting certain businesses with milestone Isante anniversaries. Therefore, I, Luke Merrill, interim mayor of the city of Isante, do hereby proclaim that the day of July 23rd, 2025 shall be observed as Mayor's Employer Celebration Day in the city of Isante on this 15th day of July 2025. All right. So thank you, everybody that works in the city. I know there's a lot of people that leave the city, but there's also a lot of great people that work in the city and keep the city pumping through the day. So announcements, H1, Parks and Recreation Board meeting Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025 at 6 p.m. City Council's first budget work session meeting Tuesday, July 23rd, 2025 at 5 p.m. City Council budget work session meeting Tuesday, July 30th, 2025 at 5 p.m. City Council meeting Wednesday, August 6th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Economic,
Mayor, if I could, sorry. We had refreshed on the budget, but those budget work sessions are both on Wednesdays. The date was
okay.
correct, but Wednesdays.
I was reading that and I was thinking that. So Wednesdays, I'll just restart. City Council budget work session meeting Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025 at 5. The second budget meeting Wednesday, July 30th, 2025 at 5 p.m. City Council meeting Wednesday, August 6th, 2025 at 7 p.m. Economic Development Authority Wednesday, August 6th, 2025, immediately following the City Council meeting. There's a special election Tuesday, August 12th, 2025 from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Committee of the Whole meeting Tuesday, August 19th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Planning Commission meeting Tuesday, August 19th, 2025 at 6 p.m. City Council meeting Tuesday, August 19th, 2025 at 7 p.m. And the Canvassing Board meeting Thursday, August 21st, 2025 at 6 p.m. Are there any council committee reports?
We missed G1.
Yeah,
What's,
We missed G1.
the meeting minutes.
oh, yeah, we did, you're right. So we'll take a motion or any questions on the city council meeting minutes from July 1st.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve by Councilmember Peterson, second by Councilmember Holmgren. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Now we'll go on to council committee reports. Sorry, there's a lot to read here tonight. That's a mouthful.
So I had a BMX meeting and wasn't a whole lot there. They were just doing their daily thing. So not a whole lot of city stuff to talk about.
Were you able to ask him any questions about the skate park, or was,
I didn't address that last time.
that's right? Sure.
So yeah, they're more, if we're not gonna invest the money into, was it the pump track for a
Yep,
nice one?
That's right.
Then they don't wanna do it. They want, to do it really nice and make it last a long time. Otherwise, there's quite a few pickleball players on that group, so they were pushing the pickleball courts, so.
Any other council committee reports? Nick? I'll just say again, I did meet with the school board, or not the school board, the finance director and the superintendent of the schools, and we talked about that apartment potentially, and we also talked about the referendum and some specifics on it. They're planning to have their website live by Friday, so people can look at all the specifics of the referendum. And then if you need more information, reach out to the superintendent or myself, and we can get you all the information. I hope there's a lot of information, everybody can sort of digest it and make their decision. Any other council committee reports? All right, then we will move on to business item K1, resolution to consider approving change order number 1 for the Heritage Boulevard Intersection Improvements Project. Mr. Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. So, in evaluating the project and with how good a bids we got in, and the available funding that the county had budgeted for and our funding sources, I worked with the county engineer to determine what other kind of improvements within the footprint of this project we should be doing to fully get the value and the life out of this street that goes with the roundabout. Originally, we were only trying to be as restrictive as we could, so we were only gonna restripe the street from the railroad tracks to the roundabout. But given the available funding, we created this change order to actually reconstruct that whole road with the roundabout. This will just get its life expectancy to reach the same as the rest of that corridor. And then we also were going to just mill and overlay from the roundabout to Highway 65. And now with this change order, we would replace the full 6-inch pavement section instead of just that resurface. And again, to try and get that life expectancy to be one uniform thing so we don't have to get back in there and patch in different phases and break that up in the future. Essentially, we'd be fully complete from the railroad tracks to 65. With that said, the county board has already reviewed this and has identified the funding sources for this, so there wouldn't be any cost to the city even. It's just to get this done with this project. It doesn't extend the deadline even. It would still be anticipated to be done this year, and we recommend awarding or approving the change order.
The only thing I gotta say on that is we really gotta be cautious with the businesses that are there are gonna be affected by this. I spoke with him at the hardware store this weekend, and he was rather upset with how it was gonna affect getting in and out, just the roundabout. Now, you're gonna bring that all the way up past him. We gotta really figure out how we can make this work so that we're not affecting, Johnson's Decorating Building, the subway, all that in there. The Rendezvous, even Federated. That's gonna affect all these businesses, even the other one across the street where the laundromat is and that, that's gonna affect a lot of those businesses.
Right, so the full closure was anticipated to only be like after West Dual Boulevard to Credit Union Drive, like fully locking down the actual roundabout construction. But there will be moments, when the legs are being built, it would have been either way, with or without this change order. But yeah, the intent is to maintain traffic flow to businesses during construction. That segment that I'm talking about actually doesn't have access points aside from the strip mall there. And so maintaining that access was gonna be really the only thing that was gonna be kinda into our project, closure. And then the other phases that are gonna be closed, we'll have to have that open to local, to traffic or, business access only kind of signs. We have the main detour that's already been part of the plan for the county to stay on county roads for through traffic, but we also have, the contractor will be giving us their local business access detour plans for how everybody's gonna be able to get to the businesses during construction. They haven't submitted that plan yet, but we laid out concepts for them, and then depending on how they want to phase, we let them kind of dictate when they do which half and things like that, but we'll be getting that in, and that's one of the main things we'll be looking for, is to keep that.
I mean, I'm all for doing this, it's just, we gotta keep them people in mind. Absolutely, I mean, 100% keep those businesses in mind.
How many days are you projecting that we could have a traffic flow problem in that area?
Well, I mean, if we look at the full project length, right now the contractor's sounding like they're coming mid to later August, and they
Okay.
still plan to be done by early November. So the full thing is gonna be less than 3 months, more like 2.5 months.
Okay,
With hopefully that means only the middle half is, the fully locked down, and, different portions will be closed on either end of that, or however that phases.
so you're hoping to keep one side or the other open for local businesses?
Not at the roundabout intersection.
Okay,
That'll have to have minor detours
Okay.
to get around it. It's the before and after access, like up to West Dual Boulevard, trying to keep that local access getting in there.
so they can get up and around.
Yep.
But
And as soon as we do have a complete schedule of when we meet with the contractor, we will be notifying the businesses. I've already contacted the school and let them know so they can reach out to their busing services, because this is going to impact them right off the get-go for the school year. So
Yep.
I also did invite them to attend our pre-con meeting so they can be there at the beginning stages, and so we're in communication with them too.
and when was the last time there was major construction like this down 5?
2004. It's due by a long time.
Yeah, so, but it's just, you're having road construction in a main artery of the city. Businesses are going to be affected, but at least we waited till the second half of summer. And so, it is what it is. You just got to update your infrastructure, and this has been in the talks for quite a while, so.
So I did meet with Jason briefly, and we had a couple geometric, discussions, and one of them was, if you look at your guys' visual there, it shows the Minco Drive, that there's not like a turn lane out of Minco Drive to the right. I'm hoping that Jason can configure that so that there's a dedicated right-hand turn lane out onto Heritage, so it's not a bottleneck. I think he might be able to do something with that. And then another thing that I noticed, and I know we touched on it at one point, but that was more when we talked about the surmountable or mini roundabout. Right now, it's designed for a concrete center median, but at the time, we had discussed that Jason had said that if people can't see into oncoming traffic, the roundabout works significantly better, because otherwise it can slow down traffic. When you can see that there's someone ahead of you coming, you're less likely to go out, and it slows down traffic significantly. And I noticed that was concrete in there, and I would like to discuss doing some sort of like a mound-type center system. And I did do some research and talked to the County Parks Board Director. I'm on the County Parks Board right now. We do a lot of prairie restoration. So he had sent me his recommendation on the least maintenance prairie grass mix. He recommended 2 pounds of prairie grass mix from Prairie Restoration, which is roughly $80. You need to, let's see, it should be mowed once or twice to 6 inches high the first couple years to keep weeds from growing to seed until prairie grass has become established. Then your only maintenance is burning or mowing once every 3 to 5 years. So we would have basically virtually zero maintenance costs, and it's going to look like a natural prairie like you'd see in the county park. And they're anywhere from 3 to 8 feet high, depending on the seed mix, and that would provide you with a better functioning roundabout, and it also look better than concrete for $100, and then basically no maintenance. So I didn't know if that was something you guys wanted to consider, or if Jason had any input on that he wanted to add, and it would save money on concrete. I mean, that's a sizable amount of concrete, so maybe that concrete savings could be used somewhere else, another street light put in down further on Heritage or whatever.
Yeah, you know, technically it'd be more or less a county roundabout, so we'd need to run that by them to verify if they're okay with that, and whether they'd be the ones taking on that maintenance or not, if we were gonna wanna pursue that, so we could certainly ask. We kinda have a little time to be able to work that out, so if that is the direction that you want me to go talk to the county and see if they are open to that, I can. You know, right now, we just had it designed as it does function with concrete, and then there isn't maintenance. But, yeah, there are benefits of that visual block of a higher center, so.
I drove in one last week. It was down in the cities, and they had what we had designed here, and there were 2 lanes of traffic coming at each other, and nobody would go until the other person was all the way around, because you can see that person, so you're planning too far ahead, and it was a huge traffic jam backed up, and we don't want stacking. I already worry about that with 2 into 1 lanes the way it is, so.
I mean, you have a point for people that are not familiar with roundabouts, but people that use them all the time, I see it as an asset to be able to see the oncoming traffic from all 3 directions and to be able to time better to get into it, but, I mean, I'd prefer a flat one if it was me, but
Okay. It would look better with the grass.
it would.
And it's a natural prairie. Literally, we have, most of our fields in the county, we have to burn every 3 to 5 years. That's the only maintenance. That's it. You don't have to weed it, anything, because if you get the natural seed, it basically weeds out all the nasty stuff, and you burn it to kill anything that might survive, and then it works better.
Didn't we go over about plowing that roundabout, and it would be easier if it was flat to be able to keep the snow off it, or are they gonna pile it in the middle anyway, or?
With the full roundabout, they wouldn't need to plow out that middle. That was primarily the topic of the mini roundabout.
The first one we
Right.
discussed, okay.
And that is how this kind of evolved from that topic of, you know, maintenance, ownership, you know, a mini is solid concrete, and once we went to the smallest full roundabout really is what we got now. You know, my traffic engineers confirmed it doesn't need the mound in the visual block, and that's why we ended up this way, because the direction it generally is, the way I took it, was least amount of maintenance, but, you know, it's certainly on the table as an option.
Yeah, and I think a lot of cities get overzealous with it. You know, they do mulch and trees and plantings, and they gotta constantly maintenance it. But this would look like a county park field, and just in a small little area, nothing for maintenance. But I don't know what you guys thought on that. That was my only, I guess, concern about it. I think stacking's gonna be an issue there, and if we stack the odds in our favor is that it's gonna work better with that type of a setup, I think it's good, but.
I'll refer to the expert. What would you do if you had a choice?
From the engineering perspective, once it works, it's really just what you guys wanna see, you know. I don't know if prairie grass is pretty or not, and I don't know if, you know, concrete without weeds is nice, you know, that's where you guys get to.
Prairie grass, you wouldn't really see the weeds in it. But if you concrete it, you got more water runoff. If it's grass or sod or prairie grass or whatever, it's gonna, you know, water will eventually go down, and I kinda agree with Mayor Merrill is anything you put in there, the less maintenance is better for everybody. If it's something you're gonna plant in there and then just let it go, and maybe once a year go down and weed whip it down at the end of the season, in the fall, whatever, that's one thing, but if you don't wanna have somebody have to go out and maintain that thing
No.
all summer long, it's just gonna cause a cluster in that.
I agree.
That's where the concrete, like he said, it's there, it's done, but then you got your offset of water runoff.
Cost.
I think in a project this size, that minimal cost of concrete is it's one extra truck for the day, for one day to come in and pour it, but it's, like I said, people do maintenance free on their houses for a reason. They don't wanna maintain it. They don't wanna paint it, they don't wanna scrape it, they don't wanna, you know, whatever. So, I mean, there's that side of it. So, if you were to put something in there, I'd say prairie grass, native grasses or whatever, you know, then that fits in the realm of our,
MS4.
well, that, just like those holding ponds or whatever, gardens,
Rain
runoff
garden.
gardens. You know, it's kind of, to me, that would fit in the same realm, but I guess that's,
Sounds like this should have been brought up a while ago.
Yeah. I didn't realize there was concrete in there. It would be easy to, or fine to change now. We never really had exact final, like, all this,
I think the county does, though. It's their road,
sure.
so bring it up to the county board.
Yeah, I guess that, if that's your direction, that you would like to see the prairie grass, and it's still kind of up to the county, I can bring that to the county and say, are you guys okay with prairie grass? And I guess the other piece that I'd need to bring to them is, do you guys want to city-wise maintain that, or tell the county it would be their problem?
So it would take 2 mowings in the first year, and then all you have to do is burn it once every 3 to 5 years. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if the city staff has to do that once every 5 years, that's nothing to burn that stuff.
it isn't gonna be that big, so it's.
It's 50 feet roughly,
Diameter,
yeah. So it's 50 by 50, that's 2,500 square feet, that's gonna, yeah.
But then again, if it's concrete and somebody does end up bailing over the top of that thing, they're not gonna get hung up on something. I mean, where do you?
And there is a 15-foot truck lane built in, basically a sidewalk,
Truck
15
apron?
feet wide all the way around, correct?
Right, yeah,
15?
that's for the
15.
trailers to tail over
Right.
on, and then there's another curb, and then we're talking the center of that.
Correct.
Inner center, not where the trucks, trailers.
Yes, there's still 15 feet for a truck layover, which is more than enough. Your average truck is gonna use 7 or 8 tops.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what the specific, is
Yeah.
that labeled on there for
Yep.
that diameter? Yeah.
Thoughts? Any other questions on?
See what the county says.
Okay. How about on the rest of the project? Any other questions or issues with the change order?
I'd say proceed with it, it's not gonna cost the taxpayers any money. Let's get it done, and that's one section of road that we don't have to deal with anymore.
Yep.
They got
And that is
lighting,
actually- what's that?
they got lighting all the way down between the roundabout and 65. It's
Correct.
gonna be added in, so we
Correct.
don't have to.
Yep.
And then that is actually probably one of the worst part of the roads
It
from
is.
Railroad up to Quick Trip. So I motion that we go ahead with it, and we'll slash out the center of that thing as county input on it, whatever.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Good job, Jason. Thank you. Next, we have K2, site plan review for gas station and car wash at 501 Heritage Boulevard Northeast.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Isani Gas, Inc. has submitted an application for a site plan review for changes to the retail gas station and car wash at 501 Heritage Boulevard Northeast. The current phase of the project will involve remodeling the existing building and adding a detached car wash. The site plan review application is for Phase 1 only and does not include the additional diesel fueling area that will be required for a Phase 2 site plan application. A public hearing was called at the July 15th, 2025 Planning Commission meeting and recommended for approval with no public comment. They did reach out to Isani County, and they notified them that the increase in the number of vehicles per day was significantly under the 2,500 additional vehicles that would require changes to the ingress egress to the property from County Road 5. Staff recommends approval of the project with the following stipulation or conditions. Verification that the proposal meets MnDOT setback requirements for Highway 65, which I believe has already been accomplished. The completion of a wetland delineation and approval from the Department of Labor and Industry.
I motion to approve with the conditions as stated.
I'll second.
Second by Councilmember Lundin, or first, motion by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Heeman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. And then we did have I would just like to get a point of clarification from city staff. Can you explain the difference between an RFP and just a conventional bid process, how we do that and how that works?
So the bid process is a process that is outlined by state statute, and as a government, we are required to follow the guidelines that are laid out by them, and that is for projects over $175,000. So that typically ends up being a lot of our engineering projects and some of our others. When that is required for, you said bid, right?
Yeah,
For
bid, RFP,
Bid.
quote.
So there's three differences. So
Right.
bid is the 175 and above, and then we have to have certain documents, we have to have certain opening, we do a bid, we do public notices. All those requirements are listed within statute. An RFP is a request for proposals, that can be for professional services, it can be for, other things, like the community center, where we typically put together a scope of work, a scope of services we're looking for, and we're asking them to give us pricing on that we can compare with others. That doesn't have any specific statute tied to it, other than we try to have things be publicly noticed, but there's no rules, hard and fast rules on that. That can be for any professional service or scope of work that we're doing under $175,000. And then quotes are where we can request, call contractors, request for quotes for projects. Again, I recommend that we have a scope of work, specifications, so we're asking people to quote the same. Sometimes we end up, like if we need a furnace, we might go with one contractor, and then we black out everything because we're trying to compare quotes against other quotes. So we don't show them what they're bidding for the cost, but we want them to be apples to apples. Again, there's no specific state statute requirement for those. But per our policy, so we do have a purchasing policy that states, depending on how much it is, how many quotes we need to get or attempt to get.
Can you explain to what access council has to any of those bids beforehand, before we see them on our pads or before they're presented to us before a council meeting?
So if we do them, if we have a bid, a bid opening, which is open to the public, a lot of times Jason will do that either at his office and publicly notice that, or he'll do it here in council chambers for a lot of those street projects. And they are public information as soon as the bid documents are open, which has a specified time and location with that. Otherwise, when we bring in quotes or requests for proposals aren't public documents until we put them in the packet. Quotes could be publicly requested anytime we get a quote in.
I think that clarifies it pretty good.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you for,
I
thank,
can also, we do have, there's a really good League of Minnesota Cities handbook section on those things specifically, and I'll send that out to council.
sounds good. Thank you for the clarification. I know there's always questions about that, so.
Yeah, is it possible to post that on our website too, anywhere? Thank you.
All right, next we'll move on to the consent agenda. Do you guys have any questions on there? I do have one. All right, so my question is on L2. So it says that our water supply plan was submitted to the DNR in 2018, and they just recently approved them. So it took them 7 years to approve our water plan? Am I reading that right, or is that a typo?
I'd love to say it's a typo, but no, that is 100% correct. And actually, I did that, and I was really hopeful that they did not ask me how I calculated everything, because I was like, I hope I don't have to remember 8 years later how I did the math. So yes, that plan was submitted in 2018. It's every 10 years. I don't have information if it's going to be due 10 years from 2018 or 10 years from now. Not sure. I do wonder, but I'm not going to ask, I don't think. I figure they'll send me a notice. But yeah, they were really behind. I know that when I had worked with some of the other DNR staff, that just the hydrologists and stuff were behind. But there's no penalty for them or us or anything like that. It's just that now that plan is approved and good to go.
That's why it's better to have local
That's
control
crazy.
over things versus as soon as it's kicked to the state, everything is so much more inefficient, so much more expensive. It's just a perfect example of that, but I didn't see any problems with that. I mean, I think our water supply plan has changed significantly since 2018, and I don't know what we have to do for the future, but I guess keep us in the loop on that.
And this plan was good for how long?
They're a 10-year plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions on the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion approved by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Holmgren. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Any other questions about the other communications? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to go into closed session for union negotiations.
Motion to go into closed session.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Lundin, second by Councilmember Peterson. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Therefore, we go into closed session.
Mayor, if you could read the statute of why we are going into closed session, please?
Yep. Closed session pursuant to attorney-client privilege, Minnesota Statute 13D.05, subdivision 3B, regarding union negotiations. Thank you. Thanks, everybody, for coming in.